Introduce yourself, Jordan.
Hi guys, my name's Jordan Tabakman. I am the owner of the Barber Club and TBC Salons and Duke's Grooming Products, and I'm the lead educator for Gamma Clippers Australia and New Zealand and India.
Wow, that's a lot.
Too much to say
That's
in
a
one,
lot.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot. So, Jordan, what pressures do you carry silently as a man in business, and how have they shaped the way you show up at work and at home?
I think in terms of what we do and as an industry in general, as a business owner, falling back on the business ownership side, to me, it's emotional management of staff. It's making sure that we're setting pathways for them and creating, not only just in-salon opportunities, but external opportunities and, bringing them to events like this and enjoying it all together, and as a multiple business owner, I think for me, like I said, if I'm not creating pathways for people, I don't feel I'm fulfilling what I'm here to do, because I didn't have as much opportunity when I was younger, no real mentors or guidance from people. I learned it myself, where I'm at today, and that's a big, testament to my dad putting in a lot of processes with the brand and whatnot. So unfortunately, when he felt sick for a few years with cancer, and he's better now, I took over the reins of the company, and what he taught me is what I took on and advanced it and modernized it, and I brought my little twist on it. And the biggest parts of my day-to-day operations and what we do, as a leader rather than a boss, is lead people. I'm not here to boss them. I'm not here to lead them. I am here to lead them. And I don't want to make anyone ever feel like they're any less than what I am or anything. So I think the best part is creating the opportunities and pathways. And the more we grow as a brand and I grow in my field.
If we could just speak into that time whenever you would have been going through, like, I'm sorry to hear your dad had gone through that illness, but if we could speak into that time about what it's like to show up at work and come home as well, dealing with something like that in the background, and how you have to put on a front sometimes when you go into the shop. Just explain how that experience.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in that situation particularly, I got a call from my mum, and she let me know. I was in the shop at the time cutting, and she let me know what was happening, and it was early morning. And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone in the moment. I just kind of let it sink in a bit, because I wasn't sure how to emotionally handle it. I hadn't experienced it before. And I went on throughout my day, and I finished the day. And I said to the guys after work, I didn't want to put it on them in the shop and tell them what was happening in that sense, because it's a very personal thing until time comforts it, and I spoke to my mum and I said, should I tell the guys at the shop and all the other shops? And she said, when you're ready. And that night I just said, guys, let's just have a quick chat. I let them know what was going on, and lucky I didn't tell them at the start of the day, because their faces just sunk straight away. And I went to see him in the hospital. He stayed in the hospital from that moment for about 2 months. And then very, very fortunate that he recovered from it. Still going through some certain things that have come across because of the chemotherapy, but it's changed who I am. It's changed who I am in such a positive way. And I'm not going to say I'm grateful for the process. I'm grateful for the fact that he's okay and the steps that I learned in between that time. So he's still here. I've learned everything that I needed to and more, and becoming a full-time entrepreneur with global businesses and stepping away from the shop floor in order to maintain the businesses and grow the businesses, like I said, to create opportunities for everybody around me. That's been the best part about it all.
So true. And that would totally give you a whole fresh perspective on your own health and what you're not willing to sacrifice for success, I imagine. Yeah, that's so good. I love that.
I think I appreciate that a lot, and I have a lot of respect for you for saying that, and I think the biggest thing, like I said, and that's in our blood. What my dad did during COVID, he had no idea about labouring or anything construction-wise, when we needed to put money on the table for the time we didn't get it from, JobKeeper and getting help from the government. We started to pay the wages, so we got down to bare bones. We had dollars left in the account, both of us, in savings, personally, business-wise, and so he went out and did that. And I was doing more online stuff, and yeah, we just put any dollar we could together to put money in, not our table and not food on our table, in our staff's table. You know, like we paid everybody on time. We did it all on time, you know, and yes, I was back then, you know, a young kid with ego that, you know, up and coming, you know, probably all hit me a bit too quickly and too early, and that kind of side to what happened with Dad and the businesses and whatnot in that time humbled me very quickly, you know, and I think that was the best part about why I'm doing what I'm doing now, and how I've always given back to people. I've always tried to create opportunities, you know, but, you know, I was younger, I enjoyed my motorbikes, I enjoyed hanging around with the wrong crowd at the time, you know, and that was the substance of my environment, you know, it was just what it was. And I mean, as you decide, all right, well, I want to change things in my life, where do you start first? I've got a great family, we're close-knit. I don't have a big family, you know, I've got a small family, and we have a business and an opportunity that I'm going to capitalize on what I can do, you know, and that's giving back by educating, by creating pathways, you know, showing. I mentor people in business now, and a lot's changed in a short time because I've invested in myself. You know, I've spent countless hours doing research, development, all this kind of stuff with everything we're doing that people don't see on social media. It's all the glamour and rainbows and butterflies, like I said yesterday, but ultimately I'm, like last couple nights, I've been on the computer since 1, 2, 3 in the morning. This morning I got to sleep at 3 in the morning. I had to finish off documents for overseas, and the business is there, and I don't have a option. I've got to do it because I chose to do it. I want to do it. I want to set my daughter up. I want to set my future kids up to make sure that they have what's going to be a difficult life if I don't help them, you know, and I'll always teach them the fundamentals of how to, you know, do business stuff or any path they want. You know, any path they want, I'll never choose it for them, but I'll always teach them certain elements that will help them succeed in it, you know, so yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
What a gift to the generations that are going to come after you and your daughter. So with doing all that, you're giving so much to everyone else. You're sowing so much into so many people, your team, your family, everyone. When you're running on empty, what's the first part of you that starts to suffer, and how do you know when it's time to stop and actually refuel or do something about it?
So a lot of people come up to me and they often say, like, how do you do what you're doing? You know, and I said this on a podcast a while back. I said, I'm all good. And they go, what do you mean I'm all good? Like, you know, and I said, I delegate everything out to people who are strong in certain points of what we're doing in order for me to maintain the balance of family, businesses, time in certain places within meetings and whatnot, you know. So I just say to them, if I can't do something, I'll get someone who knows how to do it, you know, to do it for us, you know, within our group. And balance-wise with that has allowed me to maintain everything on a you know, structured routine, and I have never burnt out, you know. And I choose, again, I'll fall back on the fact that Dad went through what he went through because of stress. So since that moment, I could throw anything at me and it does not faze me. I don't get stressed whatsoever, because next day I wake up and it's off we go. We got to get shit done, you know. We don't have any other choice, you know. So I don't let it consume me. And as you can imagine, having brands overseas and the businesses here and whatnot, there's a lot of logistics with it, you know. So I look at it as though it's just structure and things you need to get done. You don't have a choice. If you don't get this stuff done, if you're not structured with what you're doing, that's when stress comes, and that's when you start to feel the pressure, and that's when the breakdown period starts, you know. And so I think I've probably, in a most humble way, been one of the most consistent you know, people within what I'm doing, because I've delegated it properly. You know, I've learned certain things that I can and can't do. You know, if I can't do something, I'm not going to force myself to do it or let it stress me. You know, so
yeah, that's good. I think delegation is, like, I find delegation easy. Some people really struggle with it, but I don't mind asking someone else to help. That's really awesome. Was there a time before, like, that, you know, now you know the art of delegating, and you've got that, you know, to a point where it's working well for you and you're sustaining yourself? Was there a time before that where you hadn't quite got that yet? Like, did you have to learn that?
Yeah, I think, and this is probably what I should have touched on before. I've learned everything. I delegate things out to people. I do know how to do it, but in order for me to balance my life and 8 businesses, 9 businesses, how can I do everything? So I understand everything we do. And a time before I delegated everything out was the research development period. Okay, I understand how to do certain things. You don't have to be affluent in it, but understand why certain things are going to get done, and this is exactly where it kind of falls back on. If I was to delegate something out that I have no idea about, well, I may be in trouble because it can affect our businesses or it can affect whatever path I'm on, So I do a lot of research behind what I need to learn, and then I will teach people, and that will be their role. So for example, if rostering, okay, yes, I can do rostering. Yes, my dad can do rostering, but why not teach someone that has the time within our company at each shop to do the rostering, send it in weekly, make sure, and we'll check it over, done. So we'll always approve it, but we'll allow them those certain leadership traits. And like I kind of fell back on before, being a leader, you have to build up other leaders. That's how your company grows, and then it becomes into a point where the leader of the company has someone that leads the whole company, and they just go just under that,
Yeah.
And that's how your company will become really successful.
And I love that. Have you gone through, would you say that you've trusted everyone that you've brought into the business? Would you say that you've gone through many identity shifts in the process, or?
Business partnerships? Yeah, good. We've got the foundations. We have a proven model, We don't go into partnership with someone that hasn't proven anything. You know what I mean? So we got guys who are now partners of our shops in Melbourne, and they've earned that. I could put every one of our staff as a business partner. They're that good, and they're that, personality-wise, they're that funny and nice and switched on, and but reality is not everyone can be a business partner. So you see certain traits in people, and rather than handing things out on a silver platter, it's you earn it, you deserve it. So we've got, like I said, a proven business model. We don't start new barbershops with business partners, except the most recent one where I've got a partner who plays AFL. So he does a lot of stuff with us for marketing and whatnot, and a few other people who are involved within the industry. Yeah, but look, if you get a partner involved in your business, you simply need the blueprint down packed, the structures down packed, all the all the logistical side down packed. So when they buy in, no matter what they do, everything of your systems is working in place, but they're managing those systems. So for their management and what they're able to do as a leader in the shop, they deserve that extra profit. They deserve that, because not everybody wants to go open a shop. There's people out there who are happy, comfortable cutting hair, but they're really good at educating. They're really good people. They got a great clientele, so we reward that. So we'll give them equity in the shop. They'll put fruit in the game. They'll put money in, because that's how business partnerships work. But yeah.
Is there anything that you do? Like, I'm big on everything is energy, and we're really mindful of that. Is there anything that you do to personally protect your energy and who you give it to and who you don't?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, at an expo like this where we are today, and yesterday I gave my time to everybody, and there's people out there who are not going to do that because unfortunately in this industry and certain other industries there's a bit too much ego with it, and the problem with where we're at with this industry is people think they're celebrities. They're just stylists, they're just barbers, and I got asked in India the other week, how much do you charge compared to everyone else in the shop? And I said, I charge the same as everybody. And they were in shock. And I said, why should I charge more than anyone else? Because of what? A fantasy number that says 600,000+ followers? It doesn't mean anything.
Let's talk about that. Nothing. Why do you think that is happening? Why do you think that is such a trend? What is it with people?
It's a hard one to really get a gauge on. I mean, social media, people are sucked into this illusion and sucked into this fantasy world because they think it's a status-driven concept, and it's, like I said, I walk in anywhere, I'll talk to anybody, I'll give my time to anyone. Human connection's so much more valuable than social media numbers. And reality is I get big numbers. I get big, and I couldn't give a flying shit about it, you know? Because if I walk in somewhere and the person says something to me related to what we're doing, and I go, yeah, whatever, yep, yeah, cool, man, cool, and I walk off, what's that saying about me as a person? Because that person's going to walk away and say, fuck, I looked up to him. Like, what he does is inspiring me. And he just shoved me off like, you know, and I think a lot of young kids are in the fast fad movement with TikTok and social media, and they're getting sucked into wanting to be someone they're not. You know, they're young, and even happens with adults, you know, they're really mentally suffering because they're trying to be somebody that they're not. And this is where I've upstairs in the education room, I explained to everyone, I said, you will find your peace and you will find your most successful time in your life when you find peace in yourself. When you realize who you are, who you're comfortable being, nobody judges you to a point where it's going to affect your life. And the other side to it is when you it's not a bad thing to dress like certain people, you know, if someone inspires what your outfit is, that's fine. But when you're trying to imitate too much who they are, people see that. People see into it. You lose yourself and you're trying to chase like what someone else is doing, what's he wearing, what's his hair look like, what shoes has he got on, you know, and I'm saying that because I was like that. When I was 18, 19, just started in the industry, you know, it's a full circle moment, you know, and I still think Josh is incredible, but I looked up to Josh Monica from day one. And then, you know, I started wearing clothes that probably it was never me. It was never me, you know, and I was never comfortable, and I was always chasing new clothes that he was wearing or this guy was wearing or tools that this guy was using or that. It's like, you know, full circle moment now. We're running a course in Bali together and you know, I'm me, I'm happy, I'm successful, I do everything for my people around me, for my family, and I think this is where people need to understand that I'm giving this 5 cents of advice because I've been through it. I've been through it, you know, and I don't need to sit here and pretend. I talk to everybody all day and I don't pretend about nothing. They ask me a question, straight down the line, you know, if it's business related, if it's tool related, if it's anything, you know, and that's where people are missing the idea of what social media is doing for them. Because they're not seeing any of my 3 a.m. on the computer and the contracts. I'm not posting it on my social media. I know I probably should, you know, but what for? Because I don't need to. I don't believe social media, again, is a real life thing. It opens doors, you can network really, really great. But, you know, if you walk up to me and I don't know you and you've got a million followers and you're not a good person and you're rude to me, I don't want nothing to do with you. If you got 1 follower, 2 followers, you come up and we have a really, really good conversation about everything, I have so much more respect for that, you know? And dealing with celebrities, like I've met guys who have, you know, I've been in business with guys that have 200 million plus followers on their Instagram and they're the most humble, nicest people I've ever met. And I say this to people, if they had come in when I'd met first time and they were arrogant or they were aggressive in any way towards what they were saying, you know, I'll give them the time of the day. I don't care about your 250 million followers. It's not what it's about.
And that's protecting your energy, like doing that. It's not letting those people, you know, into your thing.
Yeah. So again, falling back on the protection of energy is it's a hard one, and it's going to make people. You're going to have to hurt a little bit before you find peace in this, but you need to let go of people who drain your energy. You need to remove them out of your life. And whether it means they're in your face all the time, whether it's communication, sitting down with them and saying, just want to let you know, I'm going to be spending a bit of time doing my own thing, you know, in a humble, nice way, you know, not to affect them. They'll get the picture. Get the picture, you know, and that's it. But, I mean, it's each to their own with that.
And what do you do for fun? When, like, I know business is fun. Like, I love business. We love doing it. It's hard not to talk about it. Like, it is fun. We enjoy it. But beyond that, what do you do that gets you out of that zone altogether?
So I have this thing, obviously, I've just had Lola. She's 8 months old with my fiance. And we, every week, we either go to the aquarium or the zoo or something related to, memories that we can make with her while she's young, and then do it again when she grows up. But for me, when it comes to the balance of business, work, fun, all that kind of stuff, fun for me is, like I said, creating opportunities for everyone. And so I'm working on a business with my fiance at the moment, got to do with some kids stuff, and that's fun.
Yeah.
For me, that's fun because I'm obsessed with business. I'm obsessed with it. Like, you have to be obsessed. If you want to do well, you have to be obsessed. There's nothing less to it. You cannot just second guess what you're doing. You cannot just be like half-assed into it. You have to be fucking obsessed with it, So seeing my wife's face and her smile when I'm teaching her things, how she can bring this to life, and showing her how to use certain apps like Canva and graphic design, all this little stuff, and how happy she gets and sending me photos, that's my fun, until Lola grows up a bit. But look, I have the certain structured routines throughout the day. I'm up at 4:35 in the gym every morning. No questions asked, I'm there. I come home, I spend time with Lola while Mills gets ready for the day, and then off I go again to my meetings and all that. And then I'll try to wrap up about 3-4 o'clock, all my meetings and, visiting the shops and whatnot, and go home again and spend a few more hours with Lola, and then prepare dinner, and that's fun for me. My daughter's everything, so that's my fun. Yeah.
And are you a reader? And if you are, what would be your top recommendation for books, top 3 books?
So, I'm a reader. I read about 48 pages of a contract last night, this morning, 3 a.m. So that's unfortunately my reading and time that I've got for reading is that, like I said, having the business expand overseas, it's a lot of reading of lawyer contracts, franchise contracts, agreements, everything like that. When it comes to reading, in particular reading, more so the podcasts. I like to listen. Yeah. I was never really a reader in high school. Stephen Bartlett, I listened to a lot of his stuff, and just a lot of different industry people, so I'll listen. Let's say I'll go one day, I want to listen to some fitness stuff, health and fitness. So I'll listen to that because I want to change a few things up. Then I'll listen to a little bit of business stuff. I don't actually over listen to business stuff because what that can tend to do is throw you off a little bit with your path and what you're doing. I think you have to go with your gut, and a lot of research comes from actual research rather than listening. Podcasts, you're just never sure what they're intending when they come across with certain things. And because I've done podcasts, I've re-listened to them. And I've always said I should have expanded on that a little bit so people understand it a bit more as to where I'm going with it. But yeah, there's just a bunch of different guys that I listen to. Yeah, no one in particular though. Yeah. Wish I could read more, and I do like reading books. I love reading books. My last book I read was the founder of Nike. Yeah, Shoe Dog. Yep, love that one. And again, I probably sound cliche, but it falls back on business stuff, and and that's what I read. My last book, that was a few months back. I finished it. I started it in COVID, and then I didn't finish it, and then I went back and I finished it. Yeah. So with the flights and that, 15 hours to India, I finished it on the plane, so it's good. Yeah.
Big flights.
Yeah.
And we talked about the other day just briefly about the intentions and family and business and stuff like that. And we mentioned about starting to travel with your family as your business continues to grow, that you see that going forward as being part of the way it's going to go, is that they will be with you along the way for the journey. Can you speak into that a bit?
Of course, I think I dream of the moment I can take Lola with me to an event like this, and Mills, my partner, she's been to events with me like this and she loves it. She obviously loves supporting me. She's not in the industry, but she's supportive of it. I think the moment my daughter can recognize what I'm doing and this kind of stuff, and I think it may be a bit too late. I may be a bit past the expo stuff, and I want to take her to all our business stuff overseas and show her what we've got all around the world, and one day she can tell her friends and that Daddy took me to Dubai, and he's got a salon there, or multiple salons. We went to Indonesia and he's got salons there, and I want her to have that feeling of her friends saying, oh wow, and then when her friends' families go over and they see it and they go, oh, that's Lola's daddy's place. That's what I'm looking forward to, and I think travel with the kids is so important to show them the world. know, and I think, fall back on the fact that if I don't work hard now and I don't put money away for her, it's going to be difficult, So there'll always be something for her in the background that she won't know about, but she can choose her path and know that I've got her back with it all. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you so much for giving us so much of your time today. Appreciate it, and wish you all the best with everything that you're doing. It's awesome to meet you. Or sorry, not to meet you. It's awesome to get to know you, and you're so humble. You're not, definitely, there's no ego, and that's, I think the young ones growing up, it's going to be important for us to help them understand what ego is, because I know at 15 I hadn't even heard that word, and I didn't know the effect and how it would play out in my real life. So I think, I'm a huge fan of all things mindset, and that's definitely something I would love to help. I've got 3 sons as well, so the experiences they go through shape them as they grow into men, and we just want to help them grow up with healthy mindsets and healthy habits and behaviours, and just that's awesome. I respect you. It's great. Thank you.